communication getting lost in a mix of machines and voices. I sidestepped a low table crammed with plates heaped with shrimp shells and chicken bones, ashtrays and martini glasses. Romy, a woman I didn't know, said, reaching for my arm. She was wearing a dark men's jacket and had tucked her long hair into the collar the way I often did. I hadn't physically submitted to pregnancy, even though I'd felt all womb, that my guts and vital organs were all exposed. I'd worn the same clothes. Women liked how unconcerned I was about what other people thought, my friend Fina had told me. Apparently they were all sick of sucking into tight satin, lip-glossed, feeling trapped. Fina said those women would never get what they wanted, though, because it was something only I could pull off. As if freedom was something to pull off. "Billy says you are working on something big in the desert," the woman said. "He told you," I said stiffly. It was unsettling looking at someone dressed like me. "How did you think of it?" I picked up a glass, glittering from a silver tray offered to me by a young woman. A girl, really. The light was burned out in the bathroom, but there was someone serving expensive champagne off a silver tray. That was Milt. "It went from the divine to feeling like something real," I said. "I didn't know people could decide to make that kind of thing happen," the woman said. "What do you mean, decide?" Milt came toward me through layers of smoke, offered me a cigarette, and leaned over and lit it with his gold lighter. His expensive suit jacket looked a bit rumpled, as though he might have slept in it the night before. The woman clinked his glass, saying, "Happy holidays." Milt held it up and nodded. "To the season of tinsel, depression, and alcohol." The woman's face fell. She quickly made her way to a nearby group of artists. Milt turned to me. "You're looking good, Romy." "I am good, Milt. I'm an ox." I took a drag of my cigarette. "This is new," I said, facing the giant red word piece of Jukes that said, "Angel." "Place needed some fucking color," Milt said, exhaling. A slight, I presumed, to Mikiko's monochromatic minimalism. "So, when are you going to let me see this mysterious work of yours?" he said. "You know, I could represent you instead of that alpha dog in a caftan you've been showing with." He took a sip of his drink and swallowed. "Get you really out there?" I looked at Milt. I was an inch taller than him. I hated this vile angle of the business. "The thing is, I want to make the kind of work that seems like no one made it." "Fantastic," he said excitedly. "I thought you only worked with men." "Listen, I don't want to be categorical, but there are two kinds of women." He paused, looking at me. "You're the other kind." I downed my drink, and Milt poured me another. The champagne was doing its job. I felt an almost perverse vitality, already a bit unsteady on my feet. Across the room, Billy was talking and smoking by the window with a woman who was looking up at him. They always wanted the part of him that was no good. "Buck up," Milt said, taking a pull on his cigarette. "You know you could wipe the floor with him any time you choose." He said it teasingly, but it made me sullen. Milt was smart about art, but he was allowed. If I thought about it, I knew no one in the art business who acted with a proper adult response. I'd never told Billy, but often when he left the room, Milt put the moves on me. "It's confusing for him," Milt said, leaning closer, "that the cultish, beautiful woman he married has turned out to be this spooky genius." Billy saw us. He wasn't a jealous person, but I knew he had a thing about Milt. He came over and took the glass of champagne out of my hand and banged it down on the table a little too loudly, then pulled me aside by my elbow. We squared off in lowered voices. "I just want to have a conversation," he said. "This isn't a conversation," I replied. "It's warfare." I needed air, but there was no balcony and the windows in Milt's apartment only opened a few inches. I looked out at two pinprick stars high above the palm trees. That was my sign. I realized what my prevailing emotion was. Had